My name is Dairis Zarins, and I'm the Director of Operations and Business Development at Printful.
Tell me a little bit about what you guys do, your history, and what it is specifically that you created in Canada.
Printful is an on-demand printing and warehousing company. We serve e-commerce businesses, and we produce and ship customizable products like clothing, accessories, and the different home and living items.
And in Canada, what did you exactly set up with this fulfillment center?
Our fulfillment center in Canada is going to begin with, there are different product categories that we produce. One of them is called DTG, or direct to garment printing. And that's typically apparel, shirts like this one that I'm wearing right now that we print on digitally with equipment. So we're going to begin with this process, and also embroidery. So again, hats, and apparel as well. But instead of printing digitally, we embroidered those items. So we're starting a fulfillment center. So this facility is going to be a production center, and with time, potentially there are going to be other roles and positions like customer service, maybe even programming and things like that. But initially, the main focus is on creating a fulfillment center and having the capability of producing products locally in Canada and shipping and delivering them to our customers over there much faster than when shipping from the US.
What are the main qualities that a company like Printful looks like for determining where to make foreign investments?
There are different factors that we take into account. One of them is definitely the total size of the market. That's important for us. And also, if we're looking at a specific country, then what kind of trade relationships does the country have with the bordering countries? We also look at how developed the overall e-commerce ecosystem is. We try to estimate the potential demand for the services that we as a business are offering. And also very important for us is the ease of doing business. So logistical considerations, infrastructure, legal, and so forth.
Why did Printful choose Toronto or the Toronto region for its recent expansion? What are some of the advantages and sort of the benefits that you get from being based in Toronto?
I would say that choosing the province was relatively easy for us because almost 40% of Canadians live in Ontario. And then the next logical step was for us to look at Toronto more specifically. Toronto is relatively close to the US border, which is one factor for us. That was important. And also, again, a huge center in terms of population, and also very well positioned for logistical considerations. And the first step for us was actually, when we sort of started looking at Toronto, was to reach out to organizations that would be able to provide us with more information. And we reached out to Toronto Global, which was the organization that actually helped us a lot, both in the initial research phase and then also along the way when we had already made the decision to start a facility in Toronto, in the greater Toronto area. They were very helpful along the way.
How would you characterize the Toronto region's business ecosystem? Is it receptive to foreign companies? I guess that's an important question. And what is the ease of doing business, and things like site selection, and of course talent and recruitment is very important too?
I would say that overall the ecosystem is friendly for foreign businesses, at least in our experience. Again, I have to say that working closely together with Toronto Global was advantageous and helpful for us, because they were able to make those key introductions for us that I think would otherwise have taken significantly longer. So having a great resource like that was very helpful for us. Challenge, I would say for us, the main challenge was finding a facility. The real estate market at the time when we were looking was relatively tight. It was literally right before COVID-19. So I haven't done research recently to see what the environment is like now. But for us at the time, it was quite challenging. There were only a couple options that met our needs. And that meant also that obviously the lease rates were relatively high. So that was challenging for us, but it wasn't impossible to overcome. We did end up selecting a site, and we found a location that met our needs. And so we were able to move forward, but it took a little bit longer, I would say, than we would have hoped, because we were really trying to understand, all right, if there's only a couple options, where else can we look at, right? And we try to expand. We still looked at Greater Toronto area overall, but that was the most challenging, I would say, out of all the aspects that we considered. There are other challenges like permitting, but I wouldn't say that that's Toronto or even Canada specific. Like that's a challenge almost everywhere. So I couldn't say that's specific to Canada or anything. From a recruitment perspective, we've been, I would say, very happy so far. The team that we've hired so far has been great, and so I'd say the number of people applying for jobs also is relatively high. So I would say that we haven't had any serious challenges with recruitment so far.
What would you say are Canada and Toronto's biggest challenges when attracting foreign direct investment, and what would you recommend? What would be things that can be improved to make them more attractive?
I would say that for our experience was quite good. So I can't really say that there were some significant big issues that we stumbled upon or that were big roadblocks for us. Our experience was quite good, and I think that, again, I have to mention Toronto Global. I think that working with them was very helpful for us, and so having a resource like that almost anywhere in the world is very helpful. But Toronto Global specifically was just a really good experience for us. Challenges, I would say for any company that is doing any kind of manufacturing that needs to retrofit a facility, bring in electrical and all kinds of things like that, permitting is challenging everywhere. So if Canada was able to be the country that sort of develops a new process, a new procedure that is, for instance, online, very simple, very straightforward, the next step, I think, even for processes like these, is that instead of human beings evaluating specific permits, you could build bots that do that. So I don't know which country is going to be the first one in the future to do that, but permitting in general is time consuming and lengthy everywhere in the world. And if Canada was able to be the first country to improve this process, I think that would be quite attractive for many businesses. For instance, businesses that are considering either opening up a location somewhere in the northern states of the US or in Canada, that could be a factor that sort of tips the scale over on the Canada side.
As a foreign investor in Canada yourself or your organization, what sort of advice would you give other foreign investors looking to come to Canada or to expand or to do the same in Toronto?
I would say that from our experience, again, finding a good local resource is incredibly important. And I would say that either we got lucky that we found Toronto Global, but it's just been a very pleasant experience working with them. And like I mentioned earlier, they were able to make those key introductions for us with companies that they already are familiar with that have helped other foreign businesses to enter the Canadian market. So that was very, very helpful for us. And if a service like that was available everywhere else in the world, we would be very happy.